In 1983, Ruby Spears created a television block composed of shows based off of popular video games at the time and called it Saturday Supercade. Due to the simplicity of games at the time, these were mostly very loose adaptations which take some of the bare minimum elements and expands them into a premise that could facilitate 11-minute episodes. There were 7 shows total, and despite all being put under the same Saturday Supercade banner, they didn't interact with each other except for commercial bumpers between segments. Most of these shows aren't important for the purposes of this series, so I won't be talking about Hubert, Frogger, Kangaroo, Space Ace, or Pitfall, but 2 of these shows are important to this series, that being adaptations of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. These mark the first animated versions of the Mario/Donkey Kong franchise characters, discounting any commercials. Due to these shows being almost entirely self-contained, I'm going to cover both of them separately, though the videos will release one after another since both shows were airing at the same time. In this video, I'm covering the Donkey Kong show, though I'm only doing the first season, which released in 1983. I'll cover the Season 2 episodes when they were released in relation to the 1984 games. So translating the arcade Donkey Kong into a TV show doesn't seem too hard. The game has a trio of characters, Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pauline, to fit as a hero, villain, and damsel. And the show does adapt this dynamic pretty faithfully, with the 3 of them being the only 3 recurrent characters throughout the show. The premise is expanded from Donkey Kong just kidnapping Pauline, to Donkey Kong having escaped from the circus. Now that he's free, he's running rampant across the United States, and he's basically just doing whatever he wants. Pauline is his animal trainer, and she's following him in an attempt to bring him back to the surface. Mario is also there, and his job is... I genuinely have no idea. He's clearly affiliated with the circus and is also trying to capture Donkey Kong, but the show never goes out of his way to explain what his role is in relation to the circus. Is he an animal wrangler, just a close friend of Pauline who wants to help? The show never tries to explain why he's there. While Mario and Pauline chasing after Donkey Kong is the premise, the show does stray away from making Donkey Kong the outright antagonist. Each episode has its own set of bad guys, which are usually pretty generic criminals who have some elaborate scheme cooked up, and all they need to pull off the plan is a big stupid tough guy to act as muscle. Said muscle ends up being Donkey Kong, who works for them in exchange for bananas or to be near a pretty girl. Mario and Pauline arrive and try to capture Donkey Kong, and Pauline is captured by the bad guys while Mario and Donkey Kong are preoccupied fighting each other. The 2 of them form a temporary truce and work together to save Pauline and stop the baddies. Mario tries to capture Donkey Kong one more time, but he escapes and the formula repeats the next episode. I think the greatest strength of this show is the dynamic of the main trio. Donkey Kong is obviously the focus. He's portrayed as very mischievous and dim-witted, though never outright evil. He has his own catchphrase, Donkey Kong, which is just his own name. He does talk, but usually it's somewhat broken English, kind of similar to how Scooby-Doo speaks. This show and the Junior show really remind me of Scooby-Doo in a lot of ways. Just look at the van Mario and Pauline drive. Donkey Kong has a major crush on Pauline, and his attempts to kidnap her are portrayed as lighthearted as they can be. It's very obvious he has no intention of harming her. Pauline might not be a super complex character, but I do think she holds the dynamic together at the center. She cares deeply for Donkey Kong, and her desire to bring him back to the circus is out of concern for his well-being. She's quite ditzy when it comes to understanding the damage Donkey Kong might be causing, and she usually doesn't realize how bad Mario is getting messed up by Donkey Kong's tricks. Mario is the best character by far, and is only held back by how little screen time he gets. His personality is very different from pretty much any other depiction of him, with him being very narrow-mindedly focusing on capturing Donkey Kong above all else. He creates a bunch of traps and has a lot of random tools which he tries to use to catch him, though he always fails. If you've ever seen the Illumination Mario movie, the scene of Mario jumping at Donkey Kong only to get the tar kicked out of him is the best description of Mario's role in the show that I could think of. He's somebody you want to root for, but he's just enough of a jerk that you can't be upset when he does get his comeuppance. Mario is voiced by Peter Cullen this time, well known as Optimus Prime in Transformers. I think he does a really good job and currently sits at the top of my list ranking all the Mario voices.
And so do these banana peels. It's Donkey Kong!
A lot of the reasoning behind this is just because this is the first version that actually gets to flesh out the character. But I do think the voice actor manages to properly convey the personality that this version of the character is going for. And together, these 3 make an interesting dynamic, where Pauline cares for both Mario and Donkey Kong, both Mario and Donkey Kong care about Pauline, and Mario and Donkey Kong hate each other. I honestly think this is the best way these characters could have been adapted into a TV show. Unfortunately, that dynamic does not get to shine nearly as much as it should. Like I mentioned, the episodes focus on these new bad guys who have some generic crime they want to commit. If there's a pair, there's usually a short fat guy and a lanky tall guy with a big nose. With very few exceptions, these villains do the bare minimum of creating a conflict in an episode, and have very little going for them beyond that. They will interact with Donkey Kong, and only interact with Pauline through kidnapping her. Mario, they'll barely be on screen with at the same time. He usually does end up accidentally capturing them with one of his Donkey Kong plans, but there's little in the way of actually interesting interactions. It leaves these episodes feeling like they're filled with way too much filler of bad guys that have nothing going on and little focus on the main trio. I'm definitely exaggerating a little bit. There are certainly a lot of scenes with the main characters, but it definitely feels like there's little while watching the show. Apart from the main trio, as well as occasional homages to the barrel obstacles in the game or Mario using his hammer, not much else is taken from the arcade game. None of the fire enemies ever make an appearance, though I guess I can understand why. Now that I've explained the premise, it's time for the actual episodes. Unfortunately, this show hasn't been fully archived and is missing quite a few episodes. Most of the show is still watchable, but it's typically poor quality recordings, and some episodes I will just have to skip and hope they're found in the future. Episode 1, Mississippi Madness, set between the Mississippi River and New Orleans. As Mario plans
The most perfect Donkey Kong trap ever devised.
the dastardly Colonel Culpepper and his two mooks Belle and Billy Bob scheme to steal the Emerald of the East. Using Donkey Kong's love for the ladies, they manipulate him into stealing the emerald from a museum. Pauline tries scolding him, but he kidnaps her and brings her to a swamp. Mario tries using his trap on Donkey Kong, but it captures the thieves instead.
Mario, are you all right?
Maybe I ought to take early retirement.
Don't worry, Mario. We're over 30 episodes into this series. We're bound to be getting close to the end by now. Episode 2, Gorilla Gangster. A criminal duo named Muggsy and Knuckles double-cross the Hooligan brothers by giving them a case full of dirty socks rather than money. Muggsy needs somebody to pretend to be him that night to give him a chance to skip town, and Donkey Kong takes the deal in exchange for bananas. During the dinner that night, Mario and Pauline arrive, and Mario ends up actually capturing Donkey Kong, though this victory is short-lived as the Hooligan brothers capture Pauline thinking she's Muggsy's girlfriend. Mario and Donkey Kong team up and rip a plane in half and then pretend they're flight attendants to trap all the bad guys in suitcases. Donkey Kong runs away again. Episode 3, Banana Bikers. In the town of Pleasant Bluff, a gang of bikers continuously taunts the sheriff by leaving the county line to avoid getting arrested. When the bikers encounter Donkey Kong, they bribe him to join their biker gang with bananas. Donkey Kong's increased strength allows them to basically do whatever they want until the bikers end up grabbing Pauline, which angers Donkey Kong. Mario and Donkey Kong team up to stop the bikers. This is a pretty solid episode just because of the interactions between the main three characters and have the villains enable Donkey Kong to be a nuisance without feeling like they're telling him exactly what to do. The team up between Mario and DK at the end is fun too. Mario at the beginning wears an outfit that kind of resembles the Mario artist outfit. There's quite a few examples of Mario wearing outfits that feel like foreshadowing. Episode 4, The Incredible Shrinking Ape. Two toy makers named Boris and Maxwell have invented a shrink ray, which they intend to use to shrink people into toys so they could sell them as living dolls. At the same time, Donkey Kong, Mario, and Pauline end up in their toy shop and end up getting shrunken down to the size of toys. A lot of the episode is just using this different size as a source of gags revolving around tiny toy versions of objects functioning the same as their normal counterparts. Eventually, they leave the toy shop and enter a restaurant where Pauline is captured, and Mario and Donkey Kong have to team up to rescue her. They end up shrinking the bad guys and stick them in Jack in the Boxes, and Donkey Kong runs away. Donkey Kong has a weird increase in the amount of voice lines compared to previous episodes. I think setting-wise, this one is the best just because of the unique ways they handle the characters being small. Episode 5, Movie Mania. In Hollywood, Mario and Pauline chase Donkey Kong into a movie studio, where a pirate film is being produced by Clint Westwood. The film's monkey actor, Clovis, is replaced by Donkey Kong, so he swears revenge and keeps trying to sabotage the production. Mario and Pauline have to try to recapture Donkey Kong while trying to stop Clovis from harming him. Clovis does end up getting his job back at the end. Clovis is the best antagonist in the series. Him being a monkey like Donkey Kong helps him stand out as unique compared to the mostly same-looking villains from the other episodes. Plus, he's working directly against Donkey Kong instead of pretending to work alongside him. Episode 6, Gorilla My Dreams. Donkey Kong climbs aboard the SS Romance. On board is Miss Persimmon O'Hara, who's wealthy due to owning the biggest banana plantation in the world. Two crooks named Barnacle and Long John plan to capture her to take her wealth. While they're trying to capture her, Donkey Kong saves her and she loses her glasses. Without being able to see well, she thinks Donkey Kong is a huge hunk, he is, and she plans to marry him. Pauline gets weirdly jealous that Donkey Kong is ignoring her here. Also, what the hell is this pool floaty? In the end, during the wedding, Mario manages to capture Donkey Kong, but the crook capture Persimmon and Mario is forced to let go of him for the greater good. Persimmon ends up falling in love with the ship captain instead. Episode 7, Little Orphan Apey. This is the first lost episode, where no footage of it exists as far as I could tell. The Mario Wiki has a screenshot and a synopsis of one of the scenes, though I'm not sure what the source on this is. Episode 8, Circus Days. Donkey Kong gets captured by Barney Todd, who owns a rival circus to the one that Pauline works at. His is well known for putting the animals through dangerous and unrealistic acts, so Mario and Pauline go to rescue him. A new trainer, Trixie, tries to help Donkey Kong through the act, while her boss constantly threatens to fire her if she can't accomplish it. Mario dresses up as both a doctor and a clown, which are outfits he'll wear much later in the franchise as well. Donkey Kong hits his head and begins to fear heights and can't do the trick right, but by the end, during the actual act, he hits his head again and is able to do it without issue. Trixie helps Mario and Pauline with saving Donkey Kong. This episode is really good and uses all of its characters well. Episode 9, The Great Ape Escape. Donkey Kong jumps into a prison yard where two prisoners recruit him to be on their team in the prison's football game. They have a big strategy, which is actually a disguised prison escape plan. Mario and Pauline do random shenanigans like wearing fake mustaches or using hot air balloons, but nothing really impacts the plot. Also, where's Mario getting all the money for these elaborate gizmos that he's using to try and capture Donkey Kong? Is the circus paying for them? In the end, during the game, Donkey Kong helps them escape, but all it takes is Pauline telling him that they're crooks for Donkey Kong to send him back to jail, since he's randomly developed a strong moral code. Episode 10, Apey and the Snow Beast, another lost episode. I would assume this episode was a Christmas special of some kind, given the winter theming implied by the title and being paired with a junior episode that's Christmas themed, but I can't say for sure. Episode 11, How Much Is That Grill on the Window? The best episode of the show. A rich boy named Brian is left with two of his mansion's staff while his parents are away. The two staff members, Soames and Kenworth, are planning on stealing diamonds from the family while Brian is distracted on his birthday. They end up going to the pet store where Donkey Kong has snuck his way in, and Brian adopts Donkey Kong as his pet best friend. The two mess around in the mansion together, causing mischief until Kenworth is caught trying to call the zoo to take away Donkey Kong. Coincidentally, at the same time, Mario and Pauline show up, so Brian assumes they're the zoo workers, and he also works against Mario. The dynamic of there being three parties all working against each other is what makes this episode my favorite. Plus, I just think the scenes with Donkey Kong and Brian are charming. Eventually, the bad guys drop the act, so everyone works together to stop them. Brian then abandons Donkey Kong for some girl, so we don't have to worry about ridding him of his best friend. Episode 12, Private Donkey Kong. This episode has been lost. Episode 13, Get Along Little Apey. While stuck in the desert, the circus van breaks down and everybody is suffering from dehydration. Pauline suggests that the three of them form a truce to gather money before they continue their rivalry, and Donkey Kong and Mario agree. They head to Greenhorn, Texas, and plan to enter Donkey Kong into the rodeo, but two cowboys named Hoss and Coach plan to sabotage Donkey Kong's chances so they could win instead. Mario still has Murphy's Law despite not doing anything bad this time. During the actual rodeo, Donkey Kong wins every single event at once and they win the money and bananas, but Mario still doesn't manage to capture Donkey Kong. And that's all the episodes of Season 1. I will revisit the show for the Season 2 episodes, though before that I'll cover the Junior show and then a few other games that came out beforehand.